Good evening. Welcome to LoveLogical, DNA Not Required. This is Michelle L. Anderson, coming to you live from PodcastDetroit, Royal Oak Studios. We are looking forward to intriguing and entertaining you every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Let me start today's show by saying thank you for joining our family, which is biological by nature, LoveLogical by choice, DNA Not Required. Well, good evening, good evening, good evening. This is Michelle L. Anderson with LoveLogical, DNA Not Required, and I want to thank you for listening in this evening. I have my co-host, my handsome son, DeLon Kennedy, next to me.
Hello, everybody.
And I have my LoveLogical brother, Bob Montgomery, here today as my guest.
Hello, everybody.
And I have Bob's significant other here, and she wants me to tell you she's Mary B. Funky.
Hi, everyone.
I told you I was going to say it.
It's a real name, honey.
I want to share, it was placed on my heart to have Bob as my guest. Bob is probably one of the most warm-hearted men I know. He has a true LoveLogical heart. And Bob is everything that LoveLogical is. He's blended, he's extended, adopted, and some adoption in there, and fostering too. Because didn't Chuck start off as foster?
Yes.
Yes.
You're going to make me cry.
So he's everything. And in his extended family, as we talk here, we're going to talk about his personal family, and then we're going to talk about his extended family, which extends out to chickens,
Yes.
and ducks,
Yes.
and dogs,
Yes.
and cats.
Love them all.
So, and he has the perfect significant other in Mary, because she loves all of his family, biological and LoveLogical. So it's just wonderful. So, Bob, did you want to share how we met?
How me
I'll
and
let you share.
met?
Yes.
Yeah, we worked together at Chrysler.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. When I first met you, you came, we were in the fourth floor suite.
Yes.
Yes, and you came over, and I remember you coming over and saying hi. You were introduced. Who was your cost lead at that time? You didn't have a cost lead. I think it was Rick.
No, we didn't have one then. The cost
It
lead
was just-
started after that, but
yeah.
Jeff Marin,
Jeff Marin
my
brought you over.
my supervisor, basically.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Introduced you.
And I don't know, Bob and I just clicked.
Yep.
We just clicked. I saw his American flag and all of his Navy paraphernalia and everything that he had in his cube, and I shared with him that my son was also a Navy vet.
Once a sailor, always a sailor.
Yep.
Always.
And it just went from there. And Bob, he's so special because he always has a calm demeanor. Even when he's upset, he has a calm demeanor. And he's set back in the corner. He's very particular about who he shares his time and everything with. And I don't know what happened, but we kind of just really grew into where we're family. You know, Bob introduced me. Oh, Bob sells eggs.
The best eggs you've
The
ever
best
had in
eggs
your life.
Ever had in your life. And when I say Bob sells eggs, and this is not for you all, no, you are not going to take my eggs away from me. But Bob has chickens.
Janelle would have something to say about that, too.
Oh, Janelle would. Oh, Janelle
yeah.
definitely would. Bob has, how many chickens do you two have now?
Oh, about 80.
About 80.
Yeah.
I was going to say, it's more of her. Right now with the egg stuff, it's more of her because she, spoils the chickens quite well.
Do you?
Yes, I do. Many have names.
Okay, we got to tell the story about the rooster.
Oh, you're talking about Frederick.
Yes, I'm talking about Frederick.
Oh, Frederick, the neighborhood wanderer.
Yes.
He was so smart. Please tell them about Frederick and his escapades and how he would actually leave and come back.
Every day.
There's only so much room for so many roosters in a hen house, and there was 3 of them at that point. So Frederick didn't like the attention, shall we say, he was getting. So every morning we let him out, and he would just run across the meadow and straight over the neighbor's yard to where they had chickens, but no rooster. And every night, Frederick would come back and come in with everybody else and close them up, and every morning he'd do the exact same thing.
What was funny is Bob had a video
Oh, that was the funniest video.
of Frederick.
Him creeping
Where?
back.
No, it was when he was looking to leave, and he was looking from side to side, like he was trying to see if the dog was out there or not.
Yeah.
And then instead of going straight across the meadow, he literally ran along the bushes,
Tree line in the
the tree
back.
line. Yeah, he ran that way because I guess the dog was out. So he couldn't be seen. He ran along the tree line. And I said, this is so smart for an animal.
It's like the movie Chickens.
Yeah.
Well, I do have to add, we would sit in the gazebo at night and just wait for him to come back to close the barn down. He would actually get to about the back of the garage, and then he'd start looking to see if anybody was watching him creep back. He was very comical.
For those city people like myself, Delon, and Mary, you just don't imagine. Bob, you're not a city person. You are city, aren't you?
Kind of half and half.
Okay, but you don't imagine these roosters and chickens taking on the personalities that they have. And then how many ducks do you have now?
We have 6.
Yes.
7.
7.
Oh, that's right. We have Khaki, which kind of
She adopted us.
she adopted us.
Oh, so she just moved in.
Yes,
Yeah,
she did.
Exactly it.
I had to go tell my neighbor after 3 days, your duck doesn't want to come home. She's living in our barn with ours. She said, go right ahead and keep her.
That is hilarious.
Yep.
Okay, so those of you who are saying, okay, well, duck eggs are actually very good to use in baking, and some of your top chefs use duck eggs because they make cakes very, very moist. And Bob, how many duck eggs do you use? Is it per chicken eggs?
You would use the same amount.
Really?
If the recipe calls for 1, yes.
Wait a minute. You're talking to the non-baker.
Okay,
over
I'm
there.
sorry. I'm like, you're wrong. I'm not. Turn my head. Yes,
Okay.
Mary.
I'm going to say, as the baker of the house, I would definitely say that I just equal it out. If it calls for 1 large egg, I put in 1 large duck egg. A duck egg is so much richer, which makes cakes and everything just that much better.
They
I
just
thought it was
bust
like-
with flavor.
I know, but I thought it was 2 chicken eggs to 1 duck egg.
No.
I don't do it that way.
Wow.
Are duck eggs bigger?
Yes.
Oh,
They're about double on everything too,
Right.
as far as nutrition and
Oh, wow.
cholesterol and everything.
But
It's
see, I
double.
don't care for duck eggs scrambled like an egg.
I'm with you
Yeah.
because this city girl is not eating a scrambled duck egg.
No.
No, thank you.
But the flavor of your chicken eggs
Oh,
is just it's amazing. And can you kind of share a little bit because how particular both of you are when it comes to feeding your chickens and your ducks?
Well, there's different areas that they consider, like they got regular hens, laying hens for production purposes. Those are usually leghorn chickens, and they're in what's known as battery cages, which the bird can't even have enough room to turn around. He's got his feed and his water that comes in front of him in a conveyor belt, and her back ends to the back, and out drops the egg.
Really?
Yes, that's
Oh,
the way
wow.
it works. And then they only keep them like that for 2 years, and then they change them out, and those hens go to the slaughterhouse, and then they go ahead and they bring in new chicks. that is normally what goes on with a regular store-bought egg. But then you also have what's known as cage-free, okay? And what do you got?
Cage free, you would basically they wander, could be into a fenced in area where they're allowed to eat grass and bugs. But then you have free range chickens, which is what ours are.
Right.
Ours
is
free range. I can't say they're organic because the feed comes from a local mill in Armada, and it's Armada, layer food and Armada scratch grain. You would have to probably research it and probably go and purchase something extremely high quality to have it strictly organic. Unless these organic farmers don't feed them anything and all they do eat is worms. And bugs and grass.
Okay.
But the cage-free, I think the government says it's like 3 square feet, which is not much per bird.
No.
But we are range-free. We open up the barn every morning and let them roam around the whole 5 acres, and they roam the whole 5 acres. And truly what we feed them is we watch what we feed them when there's no chemicals. That's the biggest thing. It's just no chemicals.
Well, I know that I've gone down to the Eastern Market, and I've purchased the free-range eggs at the Eastern Market. And they don't have the flavor. They don't taste like your eggs. I actually find more double yolks with your eggs. The yolks I've shown to people, the yolks are not yellow. They are bright orange.
Yeah, sunshine.
And the only thing that's different also is that you could tell when you have a fresh egg, everyone, is because you can't just boil and peel a fresh egg either because of the protective layer that nature has placed around these eggs. And then also, how long do your eggs last in the refrigerator?
Well, that depends. A lot of people, when a production house washes eggs, there's a natural layer that's washed away with it. And so generally those eggs are good for probably about 90 days, 4 months, somewhere in there. And with ours, we don't wash them. If we don't wash them, you can actually keep that egg in the refrigerator for a year.
Okay. So
wow.
you hear that. So the eggs that we're getting, when you see that they're yellow on the inside and you're looking at an expiration date, those eggs could have been laid at any point in time.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, here's something that a lot of the general public doesn't know. If you really want to know if an egg is actually good because of the shell leaking in air from the membrane being broke down because of age, if the egg floats, put it in water. If the egg floats, it's bad egg.
Don't eat it.
Really?
Wow.
Don't eat it.
Okay, guys, so I'm going to say if the egg floats, let it go.
Let it go.
Let it go. So I could basically just go home. Well, I can't go to my home because we don't eat any eggs other than
Right. Right.
we will go without eggs forever until we can get a hold of Bob.
Guess I got to come traveling to your house.
Yes, you are welcome traveling to my house. But it's just a big difference. And what's funny is Bob washes our eggs. And he started washing our eggs because, I'm sorry, Mary we're learning a lot today.
Right.
Yes,
Right.
you
But
are.
Mary washes our eggs because my daughter Janelle, when we first started getting eggs from Bob about 4 years ago,
Yes.
Janelle was 13.
That was hilarious.
And Janelle would put on rubber gloves.
Double rubber gloves.
Double rubber gloves.
gloves.
She'll put on a double layer of rubber gloves, and she would wash the eggs with those rubber gloves on. And I would just grab an egg, wash it, really good, put it to the side. No, not Janelle. Janelle had the double rubber gloves. She'd wash the eggs, and then she put them to the side. A layer of gloves would come off, and she washed the eggs. And then she would crack the eggs and do what she needed to do with the eggs. However, my daughter, who loves eggs, after eating Bob's eggs, she would not eat anyone else's eggs.
She literally refuses to eat any eggs. From
And
anyone
Delon has
else.
tried to bring eggs into the house since he's been here. And Janelle's
No
like,
doubt, huh?
Janelle's like, I'm not eating those eggs.
They
Those
will.
your eggs.
They will sit in the fridge for weeks. Weeks.
Can I give you a little history here?
Yes.
Okay, if you go back, I mean, I'm older than you are, but if you go back to our grandparents' times,
The Eggman.
before refrigeration, I mean, our home is 115 years old. They didn't have refrigeration
No, they did not.
whatsoever.
Yes.
And there's not many out there, but you can find them. There used to be little baskets wire that are chicken. You look like chickens. And our grandparents used to collect the eggs in there, and that's where they would use them from. They never were put in refrigeration.
You are right.
Wow.
Because as long as the protective layer was not washed off, the bacteria couldn't penetrate the eggs. So they last an awful long time at room temperature.
Okay, so my LoveLogical people out here, my listeners, this is good to know because many of us are becoming healthier, and we want
Yes.
to learn healthy ways to eat. So not only are you getting that, that chickens they're good for you. Chicken eggs are good for you. A lot
Yes.
of people don't understand. It used to be that if you had too much chicken eggs, you'd end up with a lot high cholesterol. But they've proved that to be
False.
not
A
true.
wives'
Yeah, it's a
tale.
bunk.
Yes,
Yep.
yes, it's not true. So
One other thing, Michelle, is just like people, chickens come in all colors.
do they?
Yes, they do.
I didn't know
Okay,
that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
They come in every color out there.
Okay.
And just so you know, that a white leghorn chicken is the only, other than a brown leghorn with white ears, that will lay you a white egg. Every other hen out there that has any pigmentation on them, even if it's just a stripe of black feathers, will lay a tan to dark brown egg.
Oh, wow.
Now, there is no difference when you are getting eggs from our farm or a cage-free or range-free farm from a white egg to a brown egg.
Right, I know that. I know that.
People are made to think that they need to purchase brown eggs to be healthier.
Yes.
Oh, no.
I
And
And
swear.
it is so wrong.
No,
It
And
is.
if you know when Bob brought you eggs,
Yes.
there were always mixed with
yeah,
some
there's
white.
a mixture. Yes.
Because we do have white hens, leghorn hens. That's why so many white eggs are in the store, because leghorns will lay one egg a day to a brown hen, which lays an egg every about 36 hours.
Okay.
So they're about 10 hours behind a white hen.
Okay.
Okay.
So
That's
Oh,
so.
wow.
I did not know that. I
See?
really thought that brown eggs were just healthier because, like, they were the fresher egg.
no.
no,
That's so funny.
I love this. This is so cool. So, and now we're going to move on from the chicken.
Wait.
Go on.
But the one story I know about the chickens, it was the chicken sitting in the tub, floating on its back. Okay, like I'm like, why would my mom send me a picture of this chicken, and this chicken looks like it's just gone, and then literally like he like pokes it, and the chicken like jumps up, and it was floating in the water, like
It was
just,
floating on his
back.
back
It was
like it was sunbathing.
yeah, like
In the water.
I've never seen anything like that.
Because
I
we
thought that was
the chicken,
amazing.
we thought the chicken was dead.
Yeah.
Chickens, believe it or not, do sunbathe. You should see them when the heat's on and the sun's out. They come and they lay on their side and out go their wings, and they just sit there.
and they'll dig holes.
Oh, and they
They'll
love to
dust
dig
bath.
holes. They dig.
Yeah, dust
they don't
bath.
like to get in water. They dust bath themselves. They dig holes and throw all that dirt on their back,
Wow.
and then
Cool
they
off.
get out and they shake it off, and all this dust just flies everywhere.
Why was that one floating then?
That wasn't our chicken. I
Okay.
actually found that movie that video on the internet.
Okay.
I think it was somebody from Europe, and it was hilarious. I saw that. And
Yeah.
I did the same thing. I
Yeah.
laughed forever.
Because
Yeah.
I thought the chicken was dead. Then all of a sudden he pokes it, and the chicken jumps up. Like, why are you messing with me? I was
I
sunbathing.
was
I was
comfortable.
busy.
I was comfortable.
just to end on that, chickens are far from stupid. Let me tell you.
I can tell that.
They hear my voice. You think I'm Mother Goose. They come running.
Well, they're looking for treats. You give them treats every time.
He's telling me.
Guilty.
Yeah.
So, Bob, one of the
Yes.
other things about you that was intriguing is when I shared LoveLogical with Bob for the first time. Bob, you shared with me about your LoveLogical brother, Chuck.
Yes.
And I've always asked about Chuck ever since. Bob and Chuck actually, he shared a story with me that's out there on my website under Robert Montgomery and his brother Chuck. So can you explain to us how Chuck came into your life?
Sure, it's a little bit of a process, but Chuck was born in 1984. He was actually born in Marquette, Michigan, up there, and his mother was a full-blooded American Indian. So they moved to the reservation over there in Sault Ste. Marie. Well, she was less than a good mother. She beat Chuck. She beat her older daughter, Chuck's older sister, and beat Danny and Chris. And, well, anyways, make a long story short, the tribe really never did anything about it. And then their sister wound up going to a nursing home because she was beat so badly. She was basically never going to get over 3 months of age. So she's actually in a nursing home to this day in Marquette. And then when his mother actually put the kids out to the side of the road to beg for money, that's when the state of Michigan finally stepped in and said, okay, if the Indians are going to do something, we're going to do something. So my mother was living in Engadine, Michigan. That's where I actually went to high school at.
Engadine?
Engadine. Sonny Elliott made that place.
Okay.
He was a weatherman, local weatherman years ago.
The
So
line
he
you
used
don't
to
remember
say,
him.
No, that's way before my time.
when he did the weather, he'd say, right here in Engading-a-ring-a-ding-a-dine. So, yeah. And so Mom was living there, and so she was a foster mother. So she went ahead and they went ahead and contacted her, and she brought in the 3 boys, Chris, Charlie, and Dan. And then they went ahead and took care of him. And my mom wound up actually adopting the 3 boys. So right there, I wound up with a brother. Okay. So my mom took care of Chuck for a while. And then when my sister got old enough, she kind of like went ahead and took care of Chuck after that for a couple of years. But then Chuck started to get out of control. And my sister just wasn't the right person for the job. And so I went up there. He was running all around the UP. He was like homeless, living in a tent, stuff like that.
How old was he at that time, Bob?
At that time, he was 29.
Okay.
At that time, 29. And then I went up there. My sister just like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do. So I went ahead and I said, well, I'll go up there and I'll support you. We'll talk about what we need to do. So when I got up there, the next time I got pulled aside and says, you take custody of Chuck. When we were up there, it's just like, well, I never really gave it any thought, but, it was there was 2 choices at that point. Either Chuck went to me, as me being his guardian, or he's going to go to the state.
Okay.
And you just don't get very good care from a state guardian.
Right.
They just,
It's true.
You're a number, and that's it. And I knew he wasn't going to get anything. And poor Mary Beth, she's just kind of like sitting there. And I stood up, because the judge asked me if I would take him. And I said, yeah, okay. And Mary Beth she was just as shocked as I was, basically, probably more.
Yes, I was like, oh my God, I am now a mother to a 29-year-old.
Right.
Just in the matter of a few minutes.
And for those of you, Chuck has special needs.
Yes, Chuck is mentally disabled because of the severe beatings that he took at 3 years of age, and his IQ is at 72, and it puts him at 9 years 6 months, and he's never going to get older than that. So that's been a challenge ever since.
But you two have done such an amazing job with Chuck.
Thank you.
You really have.
Well, I appreciate it, but I got to give, probably if anybody did more than anything, it had to be Mary Beth. But Chuck did a lot actually himself. I got to give credit to Chuck. It was almost wind up like a teamwork kind of a thing, you know. I kind of like took care of the legalese, the legal beagle stuff, and as far as the hands-on stuff, Mary Beth would always make sure that Chuck was taken care of, you know, whether it be to the dentist or making him meals.
Told you were awesome.
Or anything like that. She took care of him.
Well, it's that, point of always wanted to be a nurse. Worked for doctors for years. So stepping in and taking care of him was kind of easy for me.
But
even if he was challenging at times.
Yeah, but there are many people who would not step up, especially with Chuck having, the mental disabilities that he has. And for you to go and check on him, to find out that you're going to become his legal guardians, and instead of getting in your car and leaving, saying it's not going to happen, you both stepped up, and you stepped up together.
That's a beautiful thing.
And that means a lot. When I first learned about Chuck, Chuck was in a independent living.
He was what's known as SIP housing. What was going on with that is that the county of Macomb was getting funding from the state of Michigan, and he would get his medicine from a central office and stuff like that. And then he was supposed to be able to take care of himself, but he really wasn't. But we wanted to try and keep him as independent as possible. So Mary Beth would cook him meals and then freeze them. So it's really all he had to do was like microwave them. As far as, we never worried about him just microwaving meals. We didn't care too much for him cooking, but microwave them was fine. And then the state of Michigan came in and pulled the rug out from that, and they gave us like
15 days.
15
there was
days
like no time at all. None.
Back with us.
Yeah.
State of Michigan's great for that. They just go ahead and just call you up and say, come get them. There was a whole group of people there, and there's a lot of them that actually wound up in homeless shelters.
Wow.
So they just literally tossed them out?
Yes.
Wow.
The county, the Macomb County took a 22% pay cut in mental health. They were being paid well above the rest of the counties in Michigan. So when the thing came down, the hammer came down hard, and Macomb County took one of the biggest hits out there.
What year was that?
That was just 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Oh, wow.
2 years ago. 2 years ago now. It's just coming up. Well, it'll be April. And they just said, sorry, if he doesn't make $26,000 a year, he cannot stay in this housing. And he had a roommate. And between the two of them, they didn't make that. So they basically were said, see ya, you don't take him, he goes to a homeless shelter.
Because he didn't make it even with the government funding that he had. It was less than $26,000 a year, wasn't it?
Oh, my God, yes.
Yeah, not
That's
even
what
close
I
to
thought.
that. Not
That's
even
what I
close to that.
thought.
He gets everything he gets now that he's in a wonderful, I can't tell you, the best group home he could ever be placed in.
He's in the UP now.
He's in the UP and
Yes.
out of just outside of Sault Ste. Marie. And Bob kept his promise. Within 5 years, we got him back to the UP where he was born and bred. Still wants his independence, but I can't say enough about that group home. I mean, they're on him. They know his ways like I do. They stay on top of him. He likes to pull laziness, especially when it comes to hygiene, and they stay on him. We just went up and took him his Christmas, and he did not know we were showing up. And as a surprise visit, he was clean as a whistle, and so was his room. And we were very impressed.
I'm telling you, the love is just...
But that's the other thing too is that I can't tell you the group home that he went to. The lady who runs the whole group home there, Holly. I couldn't ask for somebody better to be able to take over, and lets me sleep at night, knowing that she takes care of him just the same way that I take care of him.
Yeah, because I know that you used to worry about him a lot. And a story that I want to share, and I hope you're okay with me sharing, is, can I share about the date?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Chuck had a girlfriend, and they were in the same group home together. And Chuck is, like I said, American Indian, and his girlfriend was African American.
Yes.
And they both had their limitations. And Chuck wanted to take her out on a date. So Bob and Mary now. I know Mary now. It's on all this. See, I didn't know all this before today, so I know Mary's on all this. So Bob and Mary set up a romantic dinner for Chuck and his girlfriend at their house, and it turned out to be a good evening. I think that you remember talking about that?
Yeah, but they couldn't do that though.
Oh, I thought you did it.
No, we were
Oh,
going
I'm sorry.
to. No,
Okay,
no,
was
that's
going
fine.
to. Okay, I'm
No,
sorry.
They wanted to, but her guardian
Said no.
Said no. Okay. But I know that. Oh, then I know you were going to do
Yes.
that, and I thought that was just the most enduring thing for you guys, endearing thing for you to want to do. I really do, and the fact that you've shown Chuck love, and he has seen the two of you, and I truly believe that that's why Chuck was so determined to have a relationship and to have that woman who would love him because of what he has seen in the two of you. Because in the time, and you may think that he may not be old enough to know the difference, and I know that the hormones and all of that, but he has seen something in both of you that he probably hadn't seen prior at all. Because I've known Bob now for a little over 6 years.
Yes.
And ever since I've known Bob, I've known how deep his love is for Mary Beth. You know? And
It is.
I know how wonderful his heart is as well.
as mine is for him.
Yes.
We'd keep saying, I love you more.
Yeah. I told her tonight, I said, I don't know, because I know how much he loves you. And I know how much he loves you. And I honestly, it's very rare that you see a man declare his love for a woman on a regular basis, and he does not care who knows how much he loves his woman. And that's just, I have to give it to you.
She's my everything.
Yeah.
I tell you what, if it wasn't for her, I couldn't have done it with Chuck. Because we were a team.
Yes. And as that team, they are a blended family. How many do you have? How many children do you have, Mary Beth?
3.
And Bob?
I have 4.
So they have 7 children between them. And I just learned tonight that they have grandchild number 7 on the way.
Yes.
And if you hear Bob talk about his LoveLogical granddaughter, how old is she now?
She'll be 7 on the
7.
22nd.
The sun rises and sets.
See that little finger right there? She's wrapped all around it.
Well, if
yes.
the rest of them lived in Michigan,
Oh, they'd be the same way.
they would be the same way.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
But since she's the one here, she's definitely wrapped.
She wrapped. Bob, I mean, you know how they said that that a man can love a child so much to where you can run a Mack truck up his nose and he wouldn't know any difference because that child gets away with everything. He loves his grandchildren so much. And it's just, that's why I said, he's everything. When I say everything LoveLogical, and now I've learned today, Mary Beth is as well.
Yes.
They are everything LoveLogical. DNA not required.
That's correct.
It does not matter.
Yep.
It's pure love. And this is a man who has also accepted Mary Beth's ex. You know, when he was sick, wanted to see his grandchildren. This man got in his truck with Mary Beth and drove to meet him so that he could see his grandkids. Men Men. That's a man. That's a man. Any man that can not only accept a woman and her children and grandchildren as his own, but then can also accept her ex and anyone else that has been attached to this woman, that's a man. And any woman who can take in this man's biological and LoveLogical brothers and love them and help find out the day of that she's going to become a guardian. And not only she stepped up and she did it, and Chuck is probably well beyond what anyone would have ever truly expected Chuck to be.
Mm-hmm.
Above and beyond.
Yes. And these are two people where God put it on my heart to have Bob here tonight. And I told him, bring Mary back with you, bring her with you. And he did. And I am so glad that he did, because this has given me the opportunity to meet a woman whose heart is as big as mine.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Thank you.
And also, all of us here, with the exception of my child, all of us grown folks.
Hold on now.
He's 32. He's a grown fool. He hasn't got the.
I ain't got the folk.
He ain't got
yet.
the folk.
I ain't got the folk.
He's just
yet.
a folk. We'll give you a grown. How's that?
I'll take
Not
Maybe
quite a full syllable yet.
right.
Maybe when you hit 35.
Yeah.
Okay.
All of
Keep
us
living.
grown folks at the table are Detroit born and raised.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Detroit born and raised. Mary Beth, you raised on the east side?
Far East Side, bordered Grosse Pointe.
Yep. Far east side. Bob?
Hey, East Side. I was born in Mount Clemens. Lived all around the state pretty much, but I wound up finishing high school in the UP. So when everyone says you're a Michiganier, it's just like,
Oh, you're not a Detroit. I take that back.
oh yeah. I identify. I spend most of my life in St. Clair Shores.
That's not Detroit.
Unlike
Metro
me.
Detroit.
Unlike
now,
me.
there's something I want to disagree with you on.
Now, unlike me, I'm a Finney High School graduate.
Thank you.
Finney High School might not exist
Well, I
anymore because they leveled it and they made it East English Preparatory Academy.
Yeah.
It will always be known as Finney.
Yeah.
And I am CT, Cass Tech.
Cass
Cass
Tech.
Tech.
Yes, born and raised Detroiter. You are a metropolitan Detroiter, and we do accept you with love.
So what does that mean?
yeah.
I am a Portage, Michigan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're Portage, Michigan. But I love you anyway.
But the only thing I want to say is that also is that the whole Metro Detroit area, whatever happens in Detroit affects the entire area.
That's true.
So we're all Detroiters.
Not giving you that one.
The only thing I have to disagree on, and everybody out there, give you something to think about, because when Bob referred to, he didn't quite get the word Michiganian out.
Yes.
My mother died when I was 17, and it's been 43 years.
Yes.
And to this day, I can hear her say, "We are not Michiganders. We are not mailbirds. We are Michiganians, and get it straight."
Well, you know how that started.
I've not heard that before.
No, you know how that actually started.
How?
Being an amateur, historian, I found out that the root cause of that actually, way back before Michigan became a state, we had a dispute with Ohio. Okay, and there was the Ohio border war, or whatever you want to call it. There was really no bloodshed on it, but the Ohio people, to make fun of us, called us Michiganians.
No,
Ganders.
Michiganders.
Michiganders. They called us Michiganders after the birds because we were bird brains.
Oh,
Okay.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really good history to know.
Yeah.
So let's change that word to Michiganians. people.
Michiganians.
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 So we are Michiganians, and I am going to give you Detroit, Bob, because Detroit's in your heart,
It is.
Bob does a lot to help the veterans in the city of Detroit.
Thank you for that.
Yes, you're
And,
welcome.
you know, so we're going to give you that Detroit, because I know people from all over Michigan that do deem themselves as Detroiters, especially when they go out of town. They're quick to say they're from Detroit,
I can say that.
you know, and Detroit is one of the cities where you can go and visit, and you're going to be accepted as family. I think Detroiters are big on accepting family as long as you have a love for our city and you treat our city right. So that's part of why my shirts say Detroit fam now, DNA not required, is because you want to be a part of that Detroit family.
Yeah, in Colorado, if you wear a Detroit Tigers hat, you'll have people just walking up to you from everywhere, like Detroit.
Yeah.
You know, and there's like, oh, they'll tell you where they're from at in Detroit, and it's like, oh, you know, Schoolcraft in Wyoming, like, oh, West Side. You know, and it's
Well, you know you're from Michigan too when you show people on your hand
yeah.
where you're from.
Don't forget the other hand.
The other hand up there.
Backwards.
That's okay for
Upper
for the
Peninsula.
UP as
Here's
well.
the
Upper
bunny ear
Peninsula.
up here.
Yeah, for the
There's
UP.
another piece of history. I think it was 1958. They actually passed a piece of legislation in Lansing to force everybody to put the UP of Michigan on the map because it was never on the map before.
Really?
Oh wow.
Really. And when they went ahead and built the Mackinac Bridge to connect the two peninsulas, then they went ahead and passed the legislation that forced everybody who made maps put the UP of Michigan on it.
Okay, I have never been up to the UP.
Me neither.
I've not been to Mackinac Island or Traverse City.
You're missing out.
And those are things that I want to do. So for those of you who know me, when you're driving up to the UP or you're going to Mackinac City, Traverse Island, please, if you have room, call and say, hey, Michelle, come and ride with us, because I love beauty. I love nature. And there are waterfalls and trees.
Kayaking.
And yes, there's so much to do up there. So please remember, call Michelle and say, we're going. Do you want to ride? We have room. Because I really want to start going camping again too. And I don't have anyone to camp with.
Well,
Excuse
if
me.
you go camping up there, make sure you bring the bug spray.
Lots of it.
Okay.
Because the black flies eat you.
Like horse flies?
Yes, they hurt.
Oh, I know horse flies hurt. Like, I don't know what.
They bore holes in
They,
you.
Oh.
they're awful.
Okay, we don't need to go camping then. We could just go visit and find a nice hotel.
a cabin in the woods.
There you go. Just have your
Just
bug spray for
consider,
mosquitoes.
just consider roughing it as like having no room service available. Just work it that way.
Yeah, when I was younger, we used to go to Port Huron to the campgrounds there.
Lakeport.
And we would actually spend the weekend there. My aunt Shirley and would take us there.
That was one of my best experiences as a child.
Mine too.
Because I actually went there with my Aunt Helen, who was just, when she passed away, part of me went with her. And my Uncle John is when we were kids. And it was just an awesome experience.
Yeah,
right there
me
at
too.
Lakeport.
I used to love going up there with my aunt. And then we would also go to Point Pelee in Canada with my mom to go look at the water. And let me think of the name of the lake. Oh, I can't remember the lake in Canada that we used to go to.
Ontario, the big one.
No, it's further. It's past Toronto. And
Oh,
we would go there
Lake
and
Ontario.
we
That's
would
what I
have
said.
we would go up there and rent cabins.
Mhm.
And there would be like 10 families of my father's friends, and they would rent out the cabins, and they would have the boats there for us to be able to go out on the lake and go fishing. We would have bonfires and things like that. And that was like a part of my extended LoveLogical family growing up. And unfortunately, you know, with me being single and things, I don't have families that to really go out and do things like that. And I think that I'm going to start implementing some. Rice Lake. It was Rice Lake. And I think I'm going to start implementing different things to do, because now that
I'm
my
back.
son is home,
I'm back.
yeah, he likes to get out in nature like I do.
I'm a camper. I love hiking.
Yeah.
kayaking, fishing, like anything outside. Living in Colorado, it changed my life. Just being able to hike up mountains and like actually see nature. You're standing 15 feet from an elk and wondering, is this thing gonna get me? You know, and I miss that. I would love to see Michigan. I never got to see Michigan growing up, even though I did go to Traverse City. We never like went hiking or exploring in Traverse City. It was like we went to the festival, the Cherry Festival.
Oh, God, I love the Cherry Festival.
Yeah.
I've never been. See, those are things we're going to have to start doing weekend things.
I'm your tour guide of Traverse City, guys.
All right. That sounds like a plan.
My dad, I didn't know any other vacation but Traverse City. And then my parents bought a home in 1967 in Interlaken, just southwest of Traverse City, 16 miles. So Traverse City is like the back of my hand. And the Cherry Festival, it's wonderful. It's always the first full week of July. And it's got many, many people up there that you really don't want to be driving around that town. Most of the people that live up there avoid the town. Okay. Because it is swamp crazy with what they would call, and this is a UP or an up north term, they call people that come in for those things fudgies. Yes. Because everybody comes up to get the Mackinac Island fudge or the fudge that's made in Traverse City. So they call them fudgies because they don't know where they're going and they get in your way.
I don't know. Sometimes it sounds like downtown Detroit.
True.
Well, you get a lot of out-of-town people down there for an event.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, after I do my cabin renovations, because I got a place in Hendricks Township, you know, you and Delon can come up and stay up there all you want.
That sounds like a plan.
We'll take you
Is
up
that where
on
Chuck
that.
was?
No
Is that the
problem.
way? That's the place where Chuck was.
That's the place where I had Chuck when I first moved him up there because I wanted. I had to. Unfortunately, the way the state works, I had to do it that way. So
No, that's fine.
I relied on some friends that I went to high school with up there.
Your neighbors.
Yes, my
you
neighbors.
still have neighbors.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
And they looked over Chuck and made sure that everything was okay.
And I
so
did
was
all
able
his
to fin-
cooking.
And she still did all his cooking.
And
up
you
there.
were running back and forth up there on a regular basis.
Yes, he was. Because
Yes.
I was
About
home
every-
taking care of chickens and dogs.
And
cats.
And cats.
Don't forget, we got our new
I was running up
babies
there
now.
about once every other week.
Oh, guys, I'm going to share Bob's video on my site. I put it on Instagram, but I'm going to put it on Facebook where you had the dog getting into his seatbelt.
Oh, her seatbelt?
Her seatbelt, I'm sorry.
She's smart as a whip.
Yeah, beautiful too.
Yes, she is.
Beautiful.
Her sister, she's beautiful.
Labs.
But she is lazy. She won't jump up in that truck. You better lift her up.
Oh, that's funny. But for the dog to get inside of the seatbelt on her own.
Yeah.
I
she
thought that
put
was
the
really
seatbelt
cool.
on?
You
No,
have
he clicks it in and he tells her to get in. You'll be able to. I'll show you tonight. It's
Okay.
really cool.
What you have to understand about Brandy, too, is Bob's first time around, he was not allowed to have animals.
Okay.
Okay? Bob and I both share the love of animals. That's why we have a house full. But a good friend that I worked with had a litter of lab puppies. And the week before I found out she had these lab puppies, Bob said to me, if I could get a dog, I'd like to get a chocolate lab.
Lab. Oh, they're beautiful.
Well, unfortunately, the only chocolate in the group was going to Crystal's mom. So I'm like, do I tell him? Do I not? They won't be ready till January 8th. Do I tell him that I'm getting him a lab for Christmas or not? You know, because he was not living with me at the time, but he was living at his brother's. And I thought, okay, I got to tell him. So I told him that he had a puppy coming. And he picked a name out. It was special to him. And we weren't sure if she was going to be a boy or girl. And it's Brandy. And Brandy came to us at 8 weeks and has been his sidekick ever since. She reads him like a book. She knows his emotions. If he's having a bad day, she doesn't leave his side.
Yeah.
If Bob gets upset, she gets upset. Because if she gets upset, he calms down.
LoveLogical Pets. And LoveLogical Pets are a part of your extended family because my dog Coco's our family.
For sure.
Oh,
You
ours
know?
are too.
And I grew up with dogs. My mother had one cat. but primarily dogs in my world. I mean, I've had guinea pigs. Delon had an iguana,
Turtles.
and everything, and
I had 22 hamsters.
Ooh.
Dwarf. Thank you to
Whoa.
my daughter's boyfriend.
So for those of you who with LoveLogical, your dogs are part of your LoveLogical family. Your friends are a part of your LoveLogical family. You know, your children. You know,
Your children's friends.
Your LoveLogical parents, because when you become a blended family, as I keep saying and as I will continue to say, there's no one stepping on anyone in a household where there's a LoveLogical parent.
Yes.
Because my mother would not allow us to say step, because she said nobody was stepping on anybody in her house. And I still feel that way. And listening to Bob and Mary, you know that these are LoveLogical parents. There are no steps, because they're not stepping on anybody.
How many years have you guys been together?
Forever.
Well,
No.
we've known each other about 11. Together, soon will be 8.
8.
8 years. Look at him looking at
I
me.
know. I see it. I see it.
And my household went from 1 dog, 1 cat, to 5 dogs, and 3 cats, and now 5 cats. So we had, and 80 birds, and 80 chickens, and then there's ducks, but we love animals.
No horses?
Not yet, please.
Bob, we need a horse.
A mini horse.
do?
Are you gonna
Yeah.
come?
Horse.
Are you gonna come scoop the stall?
No.
Because soon as I told my granddaughters, if you want a horse, you're gonna be over here mucking a stall out. They said, okay, no.
We
Well,
don't need a horse.
we can learn.
Yeah, I hear ya, but just like
Look,
I'm looking at him, and just like right now, I mean, like I got Chuck, I got 2 more kitties a month ago.
okay.
He said,
Yes.
want to go with me for a ride? I said, okay. Little did I know the owner was in Florida, because I had no clue. We get there and we're bringing 2 kitties home. Because
Bob
her
is
life,
Bob.
because Bob was Bob, and Mary's a sucker for cats, and we have these 2 beautiful cats that were kind of confused because their personal owner passed away,
Yes.
and his wife was going to leave them to go to the shelter and be put down, because a cat that's 17 years old and one that's 9 don't have
Just-
much to.
They had
Much-
just lost their daddy.
Yeah, and for them to go out in the world, there's not many going to take them, let alone take them together.
Right. Let me explain. While we were working at FCA, our dear friend, Mike, had cancer. And he had cancer for many years. We all pitched in to help Mike in any way, shape, or form. But Bob, oh my goodness, Bob walked with Mike every day. When Mike would have radiation done on his brain, and he was insistent on coming to work, Bob was by his side. Bob helped pick up the slack with work. Everybody pitched in any way that they possibly could. We were truly a LoveLogical family at work, you know. But Bob was the brother, the LoveLogical brother to Mike. When Mike started to get frail, Bob was right there. When Mike was insistent to continue working and he couldn't drive to work anymore, Bob drove out of his way to pick Mike up and bring him in to work and to take him home every day. Every day. When Mike went into the hospital, Bob let us all know, but Bob was right there by his side. Bob was by his side Bob was there for him in ways that you would not imagine. A friend, a true LoveLogical brother, to stand by someone's side, and he did it. When Mike passed away, Bob helped his family, Mike's family, with funeral arrangements. Bob helped his family by being there to teach them how to do a lot of things. Bob made sure that Mike's wife understood how to handle household expenses, how to take care of things after the funeral services. And he stood there at the funeral home with her from morning until night. And you would not believe that this was a friendship that had started within the workplace and had grown to family, you know? And Mike could be pretty cantankerous at times, but but he had the biggest heart, and Bob saw that.
Mm-hmm.
He saw that, you know, and because of Bob, it gave me a chance to see it. And I started talking to Mike, because at first I was actually I stood back a little bit because I didn't think that he liked me, to find out that he did. And he knew that he could be honest with me and that I would be honest with him. We would have some very interesting conversations at work.
Mike was very old school.
Yeah.
And what you got to understand about really old school people is they have it, they can be rather crass.
Mm-hmm.
And that's almost like their defense mechanism is to jump at you.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't think they, so they leave them alone or whatever the heck, whatever the reasoning. But I found out real quick, me being from the same cloth, me
Mm-hmm.
and Mike both are toolmakers, is I just jump back.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what started all of our relationship, When he barked at me, I barked back. And
I learned to bark at him, so from you.
Right, yeah, from me.
Now we mew.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now we go meow.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he was definitely more than just a friend. He was a brother.
He's your brother.
He was definitely a brother. And I did do his eulogy.
Yes, and said that he was your LoveLogical brother, and that just touched my heart.
Yeah, that was probably. I did a eulogy for my mother, which was 10, almost 15 minutes
Mm-hmm.
long. Mike, I couldn't do it because it was just too much, because we were so close.
Yeah, and it's when you said that he was your LoveLogical brother, and I thought that you were going to break down, I jumped up.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like headed in your direction and saw that you were okay. And I kind of stood back a little bit. And everybody was looking like, where's she going? I was about to run right there to be by my brother's side.
Yep.
Because we just, it was just different,
Mm-hmm.
And people don't understand. Bob truly, like I said, I can't say how huge the heart is that he's shown, and now to find out that his significant other has a heart as huge as his.
It's a beautiful thing.
And it's a
hers is
beautiful
bigger.
thing. And Bob,
I
share
don't know.
some of the things that you do. We only have a few minutes here, so one of the last things I want to share is, Bob's very, very active, and he's very concerned about our vets.
Yes.
Yes.
What would you like to know?
What are you doing? What are you doing for the vets right now?
We do. Me and Mary Beth
Mm-hmm.
both do. We do dinners. Yeah. We do dinners at the Veterans Hall.
Mm-hmm.
We do hold bingo. She actually, she works at Forgotten Harvest to get food so that we can feed vets. Make sure, we get them together so that, that we know they're fed and they get social activities and things like that. So, just like this last Christmas, oddly enough, nobody came up to me this time, but I told them if I don't want anybody home alone, because older people, kids move different states and stuff like that, and then I didn't want anybody left home alone. So, when I was doing bingo on the last night, I asked them, if anybody wants me to cook dinner, I'll cook.
Okay.
Let me know.
All right.
Do you need help?
Yeah.
We always need help.
We always need
Let
help.
us know.
It's a small town. Memphis is just north of where we're at.
Okay.
And it's a small town, and it's just it's a wonderful little town. But I think over the years things have changed, and people are busy with their lives, and they need to start coming out and meeting and greeting and being involved with the American Legion that we're with, because the American Legion stands there for their children. Okay, that the hall is there for the schools to use, the baseball organizations, the Boy Scouts of America, the Girl Scouts as well. Okay, it's there. There's no charge to use them.
Okay.
But without their support coming in and helping us come to fundraisers like our chicken dinner that's going to be on the 18th, and then our breakfasts or our spaghetti dinners or pretty soon Lent, fish fries, we can't keep the lights on in the building.
Okay.
It's getting to the point where the community needs to wake up and really needs to know this.
Because there's a lot of valuable things that the American Legion, they've been there for 100 years.
Okay.
Okay, and there's a lot of things that they do that people don't know about. Mainly is we're there for other veterans.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, veteran services.
Veteran services, right? That's the reason why they call them actually VSOs, Veteran Service Organizations.
Okay.
So if you ever need help with the, filing a claim for the VA or where to get emergency aid at, because
That's
a lot of
American
people,
Legion?
Yes.
and there's a lot of people who don't even know about the Michigan Veterans Trust Fund, whether or not it's, how do you qualify and all that other good stuff.
Okay.
So we help enlighten them with what's out there to them.
Okay.
And just really quick before you end your segment here is the Poppy Fund, which comes up. I mean, we start selling poppies usually before Memorial Day, because that's when everybody wants to see the poppies come out. People are unaware. I mean, until I stood and told them, the Poppy Fund is only used for veterans in need.
I didn't
So
know
any
that.
veterans that are in need can go to any local organization that has, VFW, AMVETS, American Legion. If there's money in their Poppy Fund and you show a need for it, it is given to you.
Okay.
It
so
cannot
that's,
be used for anything else but a veteran.
That's the VFW. That's AMVETS.
That's the
and the
AMVETS.
American Legion.
Right.
And that would be those organizations throughout Michigan where if a veteran is in need, they can go, and if they have money in their Poppy Fund, they can get help.
If they need help paying their electric bill, their gas bill, getting their prescriptions, there's money that's sitting in these. And what people don't realize is this money cannot be kept over from year to year to year. So it needs to go to the needy veterans.
Okay.
And people are unaware of that's what the poppies are used for.
So we're going to have another segment just so we could talk about
Veterans.
the veterans.
Oh, I'd love it.
And what
Me
the
too.
veterans, and I would love to have you do that. And then, Bob, bring your friend who you work with a lot with the vets.
Sure.
I would love to have you guys come back so that we can talk about what's needed, because my father was a veteran, as well as many of my uncles were veterans. My son is a veteran. And I have my best friend, Kim, works at the VA, and I would love for us to sit down and have a segment on our vets, because they should be a part of everyone's LoveLogical heart,
This is true.
Yes.
because they are a part of our extended community. And
They were the ones who were brave enough to defend the freedom that we have.
Yes.
Exactly.
So we're going to
Yes.
have to come back and do that one. But Bob, thank you.
That's what teaches you being part of. I mean, because Delon can vouch for this. When you're part of something bigger than yourself, that's also what helps you with the LoveLogical thing.
Yes.
Yes.
Because when you go out on a ship, when I was on an aircraft carrier, there was 5,500 other guys out there, but literally you went out on that ship alone.
Yeah.
Unless you are able to function totally on yourself, and you can't, you're going to need to make friends. You're going to need to get your, you needed the support of your brothers and your shipmates.
That's what it's all about in the military.
You betcha.
My dad was World War II.
Okay.
He
So
got
yes.
lucky. He was on the med ship. He didn't see action. He only saw the wounded.
So I'm going to have to close out tonight. And I want to say thank you for listening to LoveLogical DNA Not Required. I want to thank both Bob and Mary for being here. Of course, my co-host, my son. I hope that you enjoyed listening to this man's and this woman's true LoveLogical hearts, where they reached every part of LoveLogical with the foster, adopted, blended, and extended families. So if you have any questions of them or want to share or find out more information, just email me at info@lovelogical.com and I'll pass that on. But until we see each other again, remember that family is biological by nature, LoveLogical by choice. So otherwise, DNA is not required. Okay. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Oh, that was awesome.
That was a